so today's video, I am doing a long overdue video, okay? And when I say long overdue, I'm talking about a couple months, more than a couple months. This is my birth story, the birth of my daughter. She was born October of 2022. It is now June of 2023, so life been lifing, okay? Having 2 kids, yeah, that's it. Having 2 kids, that's the sentence, that's the statement, that's it. But yeah, I wanted to bring this story to you guys because in hindsight, now that it's over and I've had time to recover and recuperate and get my thoughts together, you know, I feel like it could bring, you know, awareness for some women, maybe a couple laughs, something. But I did want to share my birth story because it was definitely different from my first pregnancy. Okay, so let's just get down to the nitty-gritty. To kind of give you just a briefing. When I found out I was pregnant and I went in for my first ultrasound, they did find a mass, and it turned out that I had a fibroid, which made my pregnancy high risk. I'm not gonna go too much into the whole fibroid thing because that's a whole nother video in itself. If you guys would like to know more about that, let me know down in the comments. But I did have a fibroid, so that made my pregnancy more high risk. So not only did I have to go and see my regular OBGYN, but I also had to go see a high risk doctor as well. And I kind of went in the same increments as my OBGYN appointment. So I will go every 4 weeks to see my OBGYN. I will go every 4 weeks to see the high risk doctor, and then every 2 weeks, and then every week up until I gave birth. So they did find the fibroid, and you know, with that it came a lot of things, a lot of worry, you know, worry of the fibroid causing a miscarriage, and just other complications like that. So that was strike one, okay, for me. Pregnancy, for the most part, for what it could have been, the pregnancy went smooth. It was very exhausting and it was very draining just because of the excess appointments and things like that I had to do. You know, when I would go, they would say like, oh, it's still kind of early, you know, and I did deliver my son vaginally in my first pregnancy. So they were saying, oh, since you delivered vaginally, you know, there's a possibility that you could, there's a fly in here. Anyways, they said that because I did deliver vaginally with my son, that there was a possibility that I could still deliver vaginally with my daughter. It just depended on where the fibroid was located. So, you know, going along in pregnancy, everything's fine. I didn't have any other complications. When we got closer and closer, you know, I was asking like, hey, do we know if I'm gonna have to have a C-section? Like, what's going on? And the answer was, you know, we won't know until we get closer to, you know, your due date or things like that. So I'm just like, alright, sis, I guess, you know, and I had never had a high risk pregnancy before, so I didn't really know, like, I didn't really know what to expect. Like, I'm scared. I'm just like, I'm worried, you know, and so I'm like, I'm trying to do research, but you know, when y'all get on the Google, Google be telling you stuff that you really don't need to be reading because then they make you worry more. My husband was very supportive. We just took it one day at a time. So we're gonna fast forward. So I'm like 36 and a half weeks. So now I'm like, okay, let me know something. So I went to a high risk appointment, and they did the ultrasound and everything. And basically, the girl that was doing my ultrasound that time, she was getting trained, so I was trying to be a little, you know, more understanding, because I used to work in the medical field and I know how it is. So I was trying to be a little more understanding, but I was like, baby, this is not the time, okay? Because I need somebody who knows what they're doing, okay? So basically they made it seem like, oh, the fibroid is fine and that I would be able to deliver vaginally, and that I did not need to come back to see them. That was a lie. That was a lie. Because the doctor came in and he told me something else. Because he said, yeah, you have to come back. You have to come back one more time. I was very sad. So I go to my OBGYN and they're like, yeah, we're going to schedule a C-section. Okay. Cool. Now, I had told myself throughout my pregnancy that there's a possibility that you could have a C-section. So you just need to mentally prepare yourself for that. So I had thoughts that I did mentally prepare myself for that, but I did not, because when they told me to my face that I was for sure gonna have a C-section, I ain't gonna lie, I got a little misty in the eyes because I ain't never had no surgery before. Yeah, so that was a little scary. So, you know, basically they say, you know, they would have to call the hospital and, you know, see like what opening they had. So I want to say at that time I was about 30, I was 37 and a half weeks, maybe 38 weeks. Yeah, I think I was like 37 and a half, 38 weeks pregnant at that time. So they told me that it would more than likely be like on a weekend. So we were looking, because they told me that they didn't do it, they didn't do the C-section, they didn't do C-sections until I was 39 weeks. So they said that they would call the hospital and see what they had available, and then they would call me and let me know. Baby, them was the longest days of my life. So you know what I did? I called them. Yes, I did. I said, hey, let me know, because y'all ain't told me nothing. Okay? They were like, oh, we still haven't heard from the hospital. I'm like, well, call them. I can hold. Because I need to know. Because I got a baby at home. Well, he not a baby. But I got a kid at home, and I need to know, like, what I'm doing. I need to know, like, where he needs to be. Like, I'm trying to eat. Like, y'all can't just be out here. No, y'all can't do this. So fast forward, boom, boom, they give me a date. So they give me a date and they tell me like I have to go in to get, I have to go in a couple days earlier to get blood work done and a COVID test. So I do that, whatever. That was annoying. So they tell me, okay, your C-section is scheduled at 5. Okay, 5 o'clock in the PM. So they tell me that my C-section is scheduled at 5, but I need to come 2 hours earlier to do like the paperwork, all the things like that, whatever. Okay, cool. So 3 o'clock. So we got our date, we're preparing, we're making sure we got hospital bags packed, diaper bag packed, all the things, right? Okay. So they tell me, they give me this like this sheet of paper, basically says like, you know, that I can't eat, like the day of, and I think it was like a cup, like after a certain time, like the day before, but I can't really remember. And they were saying I had to like shower with like an antibacterial soap, and then I couldn't put like no like lotions or body oils or anything like that on. I'm like, oh, gotta go up in the shit, cool. So the night before, I'm just nervous, okay, nervous. But I was cool. So the night before, my son had gone with his grandparents. That way we didn't have to worry about like rushing to get him to them before we left to go to the hospital. So the night before, he goes with his grandparents and everything, and we're just chilling, okay? So I wake up the next morning. I wake up like, I didn't want to wake up super early because we couldn't eat. And I knew that if I woke up really early, like that I was gonna be hungry. So like I tried to sleep in as late as I could, but my nerves got the best of me and I just could not sleep in. So I woke up and I was just kind of hanging out around the house. You know, count down the minutes, count down the seconds. And my husband was still asleep. And so I get a phone call from my OBGYN's office, and they're like, hey. And I was like, I was scared. I was like, I know y'all not gonna try to reschedule this C-section because no, this baby is coming out today. But she was like, hey, you know, this is so-and-so from Dr. So-and-so's office. How are you? And I was like, good, get to the point, sis. And she was like, we know that you're scheduled for your C-section today at 5. But your doctor wanted to know if you wanted to come in earlier. And when I tell you my heart was in my stomach, because I was like, well, do I have a choice? Like, can I say no? Like, so I was like, oh, how early? Like, what's early? And I was like, because my C-section was at 5, so and I had to be there at 3, so like, what time do y'all really want me to be there? And I think at that time it was like 9:30, 9 or 9:30. And she was like, you can head that way now. I'm sorry, what? So I was like, okay, yeah, I can do that. She's like, all right, I'll let her know. We'll see you then. I hang up, I wake my husband up, and I'm trying to be cool, calm, and collective, okay? So I wake him up and I'm like, hey, you wanna go have a baby? This man looked at me like, what the hell did you talk about, girl? So he said, what did you talk about? And I was like, doctor just called and I guess she had some cancellations, I don't know. But she said, do you wanna come in earlier? And I was like, yeah, let's do that. Cause in my mind I'm thinking, if I get there early, I had a baby earlier, and you know, we could just be done. And by 5 o'clock, I could be eating me a meal. That was what was on my brain, a meal. So we get in the car, I'm like texting my family and everything. He's texting like his family and stuff. You know, we're just informing everybody like, hey, we're going in earlier, blah, 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 yada, yada. So they kind of knew. Y'all, this is where the story gets insane, okay? So we go to the hospital. So I get in the car and like, Dez is like packing everything into the car. And I call my grandma because whenever I get nervous or like I need a sane mind, even though my grandma a little crazy, but when I need a sane mind, I call my grandma because she really can calm me down. So I call my grandma and I tell her like, hey, we're on the way, you know, and I just wanted to let you know. And she's just kind of talking to me, and she's saying like, you're gonna be okay, everything's gonna be fine, like don't be nervous, you know. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, but I'm still nervous, okay? So we're driving to the hospital and it's like we're having conversation in the car, but it's nervous conversation. It's nervous conversation. So we're having conversation in the car, you know, we're kind of excited because we're like, ooh, like our baby girl, like we're so excited, but also like, ooh. So we get to the hospital, boom, 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 like we check in, and so they take you, like, so you have to go to like the certain like wing or whatever, and we go in there and I had to fill out these paperwork, like this paperwork and stuff, and get a wristband, all that stuff. So they're like, yeah, okay, you know, just go have a seat in the waiting room and they should be calling you back shortly. So we get there around like 10:30, okay? So we get there at 10:30. We are sitting there for about an hour and a half. At this point, I'm annoyed, okay? Because you tell me to come earlier, and now I'm about to be sitting here and it's almost the time that I would have had to been here anyway, so what was the point? So I called my doctor's office and I'm like, yeah, y'all called me and told me to come early and I'm literally sitting here waiting. So they were like, oh, I don't know why they told you to come early. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, what? Let me speak to who called me. Let me speak to who called me earlier. So then I get mad because now I'm hungry and annoyed. So I told my husband, I said, please fix it. So he goes up there and he does, you know, he does, my man does what he do, okay? So they're like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry, like they should be calling you back shortly. So he sit down and he a little bit agitated, but he's trying to keep cool because it ain't, both of us can't be annoyed, okay? And the next thing you know, they're calling me back. I said, yeah, my man. So, you know, they take me back. So they took me back first, and he had to sit in the waiting room. And they took me back, and you know, they told me like put the little hospital gown on, whatever. And they were asking me all these questions and stuff. So I had my little hospital gown on, and then they gave me this like package that had stuff like for Dez when it was time to go in the OR that he had to like put on or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So they go out and they get him, and they're like, all right, you know, the different like nurses and doctors and stuff that were going to be in the OR assisting my OBGYN with my C-section, they were kind of coming in, introducing themselves, and also coming in. I had to drink this like citrusy drink. It wasn't a drink, but it was like a medicine that was supposed to like sterilize my insides, I guess. That shit, woo, it was crazy. But I had to drink that or whatever. So, you know, they're coming in and I'm thinking like, oh, like it's about to happen, okay? No. So Des comes in and we're sitting and we're waiting, and they had just gotten like a new EMR system, so like they were learning how to use it all while like trying to treat patients. Well, crazy, okay? So we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting. Next thing I know, 5 o'clock came and went, okay? The time that I was originally supposed to have already been in surgery. I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, my butt is numb, I'm having contraction. So I'm getting irritated. The internet in the hospital is not working. We couldn't connect to the Wi-Fi. I don't know why. It was crazy. I was getting annoyed. I said, babe, can you go out there and ask her if I could have some ice chips or something? So you go out there and ask, and one of the nurses was like, oh, let me ask your doctor. She comes back in, she's like, no, you can't have ice chips. If you do have anything to eat or drink, then we'll have to cancel the surgery. I could have cussed. I did cuss when she left. I cussed, okay? I cussed because I was hungry. And it was after 5. And I hadn't eaten since the day before. So I'm annoyed and I want to cry, okay? So like my husband's annoyed at this point, and I say, you know, at this point, babe, it's okay if we're both annoyed because this is an annoying situation. And so one of my nurses came, who is a nurse at my OBGYN office. She came in, and she was so apologetic, and I love her. I love her so much, love her down. She came in, she said, I just wanted to come in and see you, you know, before you went in for your surgery. And she wasn't going to be assisting in that surgery because her son had like an assembly or something going on at his school. So she was like, I just wanted to come and see you. And that just made me feel so much better. Like, cause I just love, like I said, she was amazing. And she was like, I know you've been waiting for a long time, and I know that your doctor's coming in and she gonna get you together. So I'm like, okay, you know, so that made me feel a little better. But at this time, it's like 6:30, 6:45, pushing 7 o'clock in the PM, in the nighttime, and I'm still pregnant. So a couple minutes go by, my doctor comes in and she's like, don't be mad at me. She was like, you know, we told you to come earlier and there were some emergencies that happened. I'm sorry that it wasn't communicated to you. And I love my doctor. I love my OBGYN. She's amazing. Black owned, black women. I love her. And she was just like, please don't be mad at me, okay? So I was like, I'm not gonna be mad at you if you get this baby out of me right now. So she was like, girl, they're prepping and they're gonna come and get you. Cool, cool, cool. And so my nurse, who was gonna be like taking care of me after my C-section, she came in, introduced herself, all the things, and she kind of got me prepared to like go into the OR. So she was like, you know, yeah, we're gonna take you to the OR, we'll prep you in the OR, dad's gonna go to the waiting area and then we'll bring him in, you know, before they start. So I'm like, okay, cool. So when she's telling me that they're prepping the OR, I'm thinking like it's gonna be like another 10-15 minutes, which I was okay with, because I was like, ooh, now I'm scared, you know, now I need to prep myself to be prepared for this. So she was like, you ready? And I was like, yeah. So we get up and we walk down this hallway. Honestly, y'all, it was like we walked past 2 doors and it was like another big door that led to the hallway to the OR. That felt like the longest walk of my life. And then literally like the hallway kind of separates, and then you go left and you go right. The right side was like the waiting area, and then the left side was where the OR was, and that's where Des and I had to separate. And I swear it was like, you know, those like love movies, those romantic movies where you separating from like the love of your life, and it's like the last time you're gonna see him. That's what it felt like. So we go in there, I go in the OR, and I'm like, okay, kid, you can't let these people know you're scared. Okay? You can't let them know you're scared. Hold on, y'all, my baby friend. Alright, y'all. I'm back. Had to take a brief intermission, but we're back. What was I saying? Oh, so when we separated, I went left, he went right, and it was like something out of a romantic comedy, but it wasn't funny. It was like the last time I was gonna see him, that's how I felt. But when I get into the OR, I couldn't let the people know that I was scared, okay? So I get in there and, you know, they sit me up on the table and everything, and they're telling me, you know, just what they're about to do. So they're like, yeah, we're gonna do like a spinal tap or whatever, and it's gonna numb you. Pretty much, I think she said it was gonna numb me basically like from my abdomen down. So I was like, okay, and I had gotten an epidural with my son, so I kind of like knew what to expect. But baby, that spinal tap. She was like, you're gonna feel like a slight burn, girl. It was fire in my back, okay? It wasn't no slight burn. It was fire in my back, okay? But it worked quick. Like, I felt that, like, that fire, and then I just went limp. Like, I just was like, ugh. So they like laid me down and everything, and then they started to like sterilize me and everything. And then I had another nurse, and she was just kind of talking to me, basically just like walking me through the steps, all the things, whatever. Which, when I tell you it was like a excuse me, when I tell you it was like a deep freezer in that OR, it was so cold. I was shivering. I was shaking.
Boy, you're shaking like a stripper. Tighten up.
Okay, and I don't know if it was because I was cold or because I was scared or both. Okay, but I was shaking. Okay. So, you know, they lay me down, and they kind of put the little tarp thing up. And she's talking to me. She's like connecting all the things to me, and she's saying, that they're gonna give me this, I don't know if it was like a medicine or what, but basically she was like, sometimes it makes you nauseous or whatever. You know, some people get nauseous, but some people don't. She was like, but if you do feel nauseous, then let me know. So I was like, okay, girl, whatever. So I'm laying there and I'm feeling good. I can't feel nothing, okay? So I'm just like, okay, cool. Where my man at? Where my man at? So they were like, oh yeah, you can go and get dad, right? So as soon as they said that, I got nauseous. And I was like, oh, great. So I told the nurse, I was like, oh, I feel a little nauseous or whatever. And so she was like, okay, hold on, let me get you like a bag or whatever. And at first it was like really subtle. But like after I told her that I felt nauseous, I was like, girl, you better hurry up with that bag. Okay. She literally put the bag, like, cause I'm laying down. She literally like put the bag like on the side of my face. And I literally had to like throw up, and I had to let the throw up like basically fall, it didn't fall down, but I had to basically let it come out of the side of my mouth into the bag. As soon as I'm throwing up, my husband come in the door. So now in my mind, I'm like, oh, great. Like now he see me over here throwing up, right? So I'm crying at this point because I done thrown up. Cause I'm crying because I done threw up, okay? And he come and he sit down and he start rubbing my face. He rubbed my face, y'all. So I started crying even harder. So I'm like, babe, I threw up. And he's like, it's okay, it's okay. But listen, whatever drugs they had, top tier, okay? So good. And, you know, I remember I had told him, like, once y'all take this baby out of me, y'all gonna, like, make me look like Beyonce, right? And he was like, yeah, girl, yeah. So I was like, I remember this. I said, babe, they told me that they was gonna make me look like Beyonce. And then, y'all, that made me feel great, okay? And so he was laughing and everything. And so they were doing what they had to do and stuff. And I just felt like, I didn't feel nothing, like, but I was like, I felt the movement, you know, like my body was moving and stuff as they were like pulling and tugging and stuff. But I was good, and I was just like, you know, I'm glad that it's happening. Like, I know at the end of this, I'm gonna see my beautiful baby girl. Like, and that was all that my mind was on. Then my shoulder started to hurt. So like when you have a C-section, like you're obviously laying on your back and you have your arms like straight out. So like my shoulder started to hurt. It started to hurt like it was dislocated. And so my shoulder started to hurt. So I started crying more because my shoulder was hurting. And then they had me like pull it like over to the side to like kind of get it from being in that position. And I was like, ow, ow. And my doctor was like, why is she saying ow? Why is she saying ow? And they were like, oh, her shoulder hurts. And I was like, you better check on me. Okay, dog, you better check on me. But next thing I know, they're like, baby's out. And I was like, can I see her? Let me see her. Me trying to get up. Girl, I'm like, babe, stand up, look at her. Just let me tell me what she look like. I hear her cry. I start crying. Now my husband, he's not a crier, okay? But he get misty in the eyes. And I looked over at him and them eyes was misty. And he was like just staring at her, like standing up. He still was like holding on to me, but he was like standing up. He was looking over the little tarp thing. And I heard her crying. And I was like, is she beautiful? Like, what does she look like? Like, and he was like, she look just like Carson. And so I'm crying, and I'm like, somebody bring my baby. Where's my baby? Somebody bring me my baby. So they like go to clean her off and everything, and you know they're like, oh my gosh, she's so gorgeous. Oh my gosh, she's so gorgeous. And I'm like, I know she's gorgeous, bring my baby. So you know they're like, oh. You know, dad goes over there and he gets her new baby. And I'm crying, and she's so cute, okay? And like literally all of that was worth it. So they closed me up, which that happened really fast. Or so it felt like, but obviously they were like closing me up while they were cleaning her off. But it was like all of those fears and like all of that worry was gone, and all I saw was my baby girl, and I was just so happy. And so, you know, so they took her from Des, and then they, you know, they cleaned me up, they got stuff down, and they transferred me to like the other like hospital bed that I was gonna be in, so they could move me to like the recovery area. And so they took Des back to the recovery area or whatever, and then they put me in the other bed, and they gave me my baby, and I was just in love. I was in love, okay? I was in love, okay? Like, I don't know any other way to put it. I was in love. So they take me to the recovery area. So I'm like, ooh, my baby, she's so beautiful. Like, oh my God, I could stare at her all day, but where's the food? Where's the drink? Can I have a Coca-Cola? So the nurse was like, no, you still have to wait like an hour or so before you have anything, like any food or anything like that. Let the like medicine and stuff wear off, and sometimes like if you eat too soon after C-section, like you'll vomit, and then I could like rip my incision open. Girl, I don't give about that incision. I want a Coca-Cola, okay? Give me a Coca-Cola. So by that time I had her, it was like 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, 9 p.m. And so they were like, oh Dad, if you want to leave and go get something to eat. Excuse me? And what did he do? He went and got something to eat. Betrayal. Straight betrayal. So he leaves, he goes to get something to eat. You know, she's checking on me, pressing on my stomach, doing all the things, whatever. I ain't feel nothing. I was doing She was like, this may hurt. And I was like, girl, I don't feel nothing. Okay. And then she had like gave me this shot in my thigh, because she was saying that my blood was like a little too thin for her liking. So she gave me this shot that was supposed to like thicken it. She gave it to me in my thigh, and she was like, ooh, this may hurt. I ain't feel nothing. But she was like, okay, now you're looking good, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I said, ma'am, can I please have some ice? If you don't give me no ice, we're gonna have some issues up in here. Okay? So she got me like some ice, and I said, fill it up to the top, because it was like a little small, like fill it up to the top. So she gave me the ice. I ate that ice so fast, and I just imagined that it was a Coke. So good. Anyway, so we stayed in a recovery area, and I want to say like you had to stay in a recovery area for like an hour or like maybe 2 hours. I'm not 100% sure. But we stayed there for like an hour or two. And then they moved us to like the mother baby. So we got into the mother baby room probably around like 11:30ish. So they like introduced you to your nurse for the night, and all the things, and they kind of told you, you know, all the stuff. You know, if you had a baby before, you know, they basically tell you, you know, like about the feedings and the diaper changing, and you know, depending if you had a baby vaginally or a C-section, it's kind of like different, you know, rules and whatnot. So for that first night, everything was cool. I was hungry because they waited too late to give me my C-section, and I couldn't eat, and I missed dinner. And I don't like hospital food, but I would have ate it that day because I was hungry and I had not eaten. And I was counting down the hours to the next day. so I could get me some breakfast. Yeah, because I said, give me the menu, give me the whole menu, give me every single thing on this menu, because I need to make up for what y'all deprived me of yesterday. But all in all, I'm grateful that my C-section experience happened the way that it happened. It was smooth sailing, and I recovered very well. Usually I think they said like when you have a C-section, you have to stay in the hospital for like 3 days. I had my daughter on a Thursday at 9 o'clock, and I left on Saturday night. Okay, when I had my son, I was only there for a day. I was only there for a day because I don't like hospitals. I don't want to stay there. Okay, I want to go home. They were like, oh, if you can get up and walk and do all these things. Oh, I was up and walking, baby, and I felt great. I wasn't like pushing myself to no limit or anything. I felt great. I felt fine. Like, and I was like, I don't want to stay here any longer than I have to. And they were like, I don't see why you have to stay, you know. But it took them forever to get my discharge paperwork, so we didn't end up leaving until like late Saturday night. And they were like, usually we don't discharge this late, but because, you know, basically they had started it, then we're gonna let you go. I said, yeah, because you ain't got no choice, because I'm not a prisoner, okay? Y'all gonna let me go home. So we got to go home in like a day and a half-ish, kind of, sort of, almost 2 days, but I'm gonna say a day and a half. And my recovery was great, and my baby was healthy. I'm healthy. I'm fine. Like I said, we're about 8.5 months removed from having a C-section, and everything is great. My daughter is beautiful, and you know, it's just amazing. And you know, women and women's bodies is just so amazing. And pregnancy, if I can be honest with y'all for a minute, a lot of women say, oh my God, pregnancy is so beautiful, and it is to a certain extent, okay? But sometimes pregnancy will take you through the ringer, okay? And I'm just so grateful, and I'm just so thankful, and I'm just still head over heels in love with my daughter. And I mean, I don't really know what else to say. Like, my children are my world. They're so beautiful, and I'm just so glad that I got to experience both ends of, or both outcomes of pregnancy. Delivering vaginally and having a C-section. Even though if I had a choice, I would not have chosen to have C-section, but I am glad that I went through that experience, and I'm so glad that I did not let my fears and my worries get the best of me, and I'm so glad that everything happened smoothly, and everybody was healthy, everybody was okay. And yeah, and my baby girl is here, and we're doing great. And that is my birth story in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, because reliving that, woo. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments if you want a part 2 of my husband sharing his side of the whole C-section debacle. And I will see you guys in my next video. Love you guys so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.